Chapter 5, Messaging. Your business message should be a catalyst for action, not a handful of empty benefit statements. But messaging is not only about choosing the right words, it's also about organizing them in the same way that the brain processes information. You must say the right thing in the right order. The messaging choreography framework can help you do just that and scale it across your entire organization. Now that you've mapped your strategy and thought about how to prioritize and organize your execution, it's time to actually do it. Let's talk about how to choose the right words to convey and convince. Messaging is an art, one that is essential to your success. The words you choose are critically important. They teach people to understand your truth and your value. They sell for you when you are not in the room. But more foundationally, your words bring things to life. Nothing can happen before you put an idea or a plan into words. Words are catalysts of action, seeds of inspiration, and conduits of understanding. But all too often, words in business are just hot air. Because here's the truth we all know as listeners, but don't accept as speakers. The fewer words you use, the better. This means that the words you choose had better be amazing, and they had better serve your listener and not just yourself. This is why I've put the messaging chapter before branding. You must have clarity around what and why you are communicating. You need to have a plan to ensure that your words create the space for action instead of just expanding the buyer-seller void. In the busyness of business, I often see messaging turn into a last-minute afterthought, and then people are frustrated and surprised when their marketing tactics don't work. Let's start with a simple rule of thumb. Make sure your words serve instead of sell. Bland tactic-driven marketing doesn't work. If you want results, you have to take the time to know your audience, connect with them emotionally, and serve them well. What I see often is people's desire to chase a new tactic or add one more idea to the list instead of going back and analyzing what is going right or wrong with their current efforts. We're so busy that we want to launch instead of plan, cross things off the list instead of building a successful framework. Working on foundational things like messaging doesn't always feel like progress, but we have many examples of how crucial it really is. A few years back, I worked with a financial services company to build a better pitch deck for them because their prospects didn't see their value and weren't comprehending how the company was different. It took 2 months, and those in the company were frustrated. However, the first time they used that presentation, they landed the biggest client they had ever had in 20 years of business. I've done quite a bit of work for companies in the infrastructure industry, especially around messaging, because it is a very tricky environment in which they must communicate to officials, consulting engineers, and contractors, all of whom have vastly different agendas. For example, when I worked with one tiny underperforming brand, we were able to go up against a Goliath and triple the brand's revenue in less than 3 years without growing its sales team by nailing its messaging. Marketing is communication, plain and simple, but humans stink at this. Why? Because we all wear glasses colored by our own perceptions, but not everyone's are rose-colored. If you and I are having a conversation, what you say and what I hear are often very different things. There is the exact wording you use, the tone and cadence in which you deliver it, and the body language you employ, all of which is set in a specific time and space that gives unstated context to the conversation. As your listener, I likely have preconceived opinions based on my experiences, which influence how I interpret your words. It's not hard to understand why I might derive a very different meaning from what you may have intended. The same thing happens in business communication. In marketing, you can promote your offering in the right place with the right amount of frequency and reach and target the right audience. But if your message sucks, your results will too. The right message to the right audience wins every time. Take the time to make your words count. Your messaging choreography. People love to buy, but they hate to be sold. In the new selling solution, Keith M. Eads points out that making a purchase is a relief for buyers. A purchase is progress towards a solution that helps them eliminate a problem or achieve a goal. Progress feels great, and it's critical for any great organization. Your product or service represents progress. When you sell in technical or complicated environments, your role as marketer is especially important, as you must provide information that buyers need to know in order to make the best decision. In B2B, we all sell to highly knowledgeable and often highly educated decision makers. But no matter how smart they are, you are the expert in your offering. Their businesses involve a huge range of expertise, and they simply don't have the time to specialize in your subject. If they did, they wouldn't need you. This gives you a unique opportunity to teach them how to make great decisions. You see companies like theirs all the time. You see who is doing things well and who's not. You see how different customers are managing the trends and changes in the industry. You see who's winning. You may not realize it, but you actually own a mental map of their market, a big picture overview of what it takes to thrive. If you can harness this tribal knowledge and shape it into a tool to serve your market, it can transform your positioning. And here's the great thing. It can also transform your culture. When your messaging goes beyond the sale, you are arming every single person in your organization with the tools to positively impact your customers' lives and businesses. You are arming your people with the tools of increased meaning and increased influence in a very busy dog-eat-dog world. Serve, don't sell. Every business ever created was built to serve. Even the most profit-minded businesses must help people get what they want or need. If you don't fill a need, you don't stay in business. We were all born to serve others, both as individuals and as organizations. Serve or die. I employ an approach to messaging that can raise you above the fray, not just because you'll be saying the right thing, but because you'll be doing the right thing. In this messaging approach, you teach people how to make better decisions for their businesses. You find the point where you are incomparable, and you deliver this information in a way that truly resonates with people. I call it messaging choreography. It draws from top-performing sales reps' insights and merges with behavioral economics theory. In short, messaging choreography helps you organize your message in several ways. It helps you gain attention by aligning with what the brain decides is important. It provides context for comparison by reframing the decision through a bigger picture lens. It leverages the power of story and data at the correct time in the decision-making process to position you as an expert and a trusted guide. It structures your message to embody your why in action by serving instead of selling. The irony is that many salespeople employ the right information, but often at the wrong time in the buyer's journey. Buyers simply will not retain or value information they receive at a time when it's not applicable. So how does messaging choreography work? 1, we begin by mirroring the pains and desires of our audience to align with topics the brain has already deemed as important and is set to recognize. 2, once we've established that our content is relevant specifically to the buyer's world, we teach the buyers that their struggles are not uncommon, but in fact tied to larger trends beyond their control. I like to refer to this as the big idea. The big idea validates their situation and emotion, but also reframes how they must view their decision. They are no longer listening to a pitch from one vendor over another, but benefiting from a guide who offers problem-solving options for dealing with a large and dangerous scenario. 3, we use stories and data to prove the truth of the scenario we have just shed light on. And 4, finally, we teach buyers what they need in order to overcome this challenge and how we are uniquely positioned to help them. The wonderful thing about messaging choreography is that it holds your organization accountable for actually being a problem solver for your customers. You're not simply another vanilla provider trying to gain more market share. Messaging choreography requires empathy and an investment in time and attention to research the needs and pains of your market, build unique insights into how prospects can thrive, and communicate with vivid clarity and integrity when and how your company is the right choice. In the print version of this book, messaging choreography is shown graphically as a 4-layered funnel. Let's dive into each of the 4 aspects of messaging choreography. 1, mirror. 2, teach. 3, prove. And 4, sell. Mirror. How to get attention. In such a busy world, people have the capacity to pay attention only to things related to their current lives and situations. Thus, the simplest approach to crafting relevant content is to talk about what people care about. Put another way, the number one way to get people's attention is to talk to them about them. If your messaging can address what they care about, they'll automatically feel you understand them and can truly specialize in their specific problems and needs. Begin your messaging by mirroring your prospect's state of mind. You want them to feel the emotional pain of their current situation when they engage with your marketing message. If there is no pain, there will be no change. A million things vie for your decision maker's attention. Pain is what creates urgency and pushes them to prioritize one problem over another. The pain of the status quo must be greater than the pain and cost of change. It's critical to remind prospects how difficult the status quo can be and what it's costing them. To do this, you must dive into your buyer persona perspective. If you've done the work to understand their situation, your introduction will demonstrate that their problem is not singular, but rather a solvable challenge that many share. You can even give examples from other clients. Think of the flow of a great conversation you might have with a confidant or a mentor. The conversation starts with you discussing the problem you have. Fruitful conversation follows when the listener responds first with, "I know what you mean," and affirms he or she understands your point of view and your challenge. You're more likely to trust any insights or recommendations your confidant makes if you immediately feel that he or she is clear about your specific problem. Most organizations skip this step completely in their marketing and sales approaches, which in turn puts the onus on buyers to find the company they believe best addresses their unique needs. Make it easy for them to put you on the short list of potential providers by helping them to quickly see that you specialize in them. Lead with empathy. The biggest challenge here is to go beyond the shallow issues. In the new solution selling, Eads explains that pain flows through an organization. Problems occurring in one area will impact people in other departments and teams, often resulting in a host of issues. The deeper the pain is felt and openly acknowledged, the more the urgency prospects will have to buy. Decision-making occurs in the limbic system of the brain, which controls emotion. Truly powerful messaging leads with the language of decision-making, emotion, by uncovering the full extent of the problem and how the problem feels. If you want to stack the deck in your favor from the get-go, get to the heart of what they feel about their situation and what they fear when considering change. Teach. Communicate the big idea. Once you have built a connection through mirroring, your goal is to teach prospects something about their world that will help them. But let me be clear. You are not teaching them about your product or service. You are teaching them something new about their problem by connecting what they are experiencing to a larger problem in the industry or to trends exacerbating their problem. In essence, you are diagnosing the root of their problems. This process of connecting the dots in a big picture way not only provides a unique perspective on your prospect's problem, but also validates their pain and frustration as you're showing them that they are not alone in their struggles. You're saying, this problem isn't completely your fault, and we've seen this enough to know that it's solvable. Whether they are time-strapped, money-strapped, or facing risk or uncertainty, you can provide additional information about what macro trends are aggravating their personal situation. Chet Holmes, in his book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, refers to this teaching approach as the science of setting the market's buying criteria. As Holmes explains, you will attract way more buyers if you are offering to teach them something than you will ever attract by simply trying to sell them your product or service. This is how you serve instead of sell. Validate buyers' experiences, show them why things are happening, and seek to teach them how to solve their problems. It takes discipline not to sell even one single advantage of your offering at this point. But remember that your job is to serve them in their buying process. Teach them how to make the best decision possible by giving them insight. One point of caution: if you do this well, you are actually going to make your audience feel more discomfort. That's your job. If your buyer's problem is worth solving, you have to guide them past the busyness that can distract them from progress. No pain, no change, remember? You have to remind them of the pain they are in and then show them that it's not acceptable for them to remain in their current state. But building this teaching aspect is critical because its depth and effectiveness will determine whether you have a captivated audience or a captive audience, bored out of their minds. Building the teaching aspect takes time and research and is a strategic initiative. This is not the type of thought and preparation you put off till the day before a big presentation. The marketing team, with proper customer insight from the sales team, should build this big idea and teach those in sales how to use it and apply it to their individual opportunities. It must align with the buyer's most frustrating or urgent challenge and teach them something new about why they struggle. If teaching the big idea were distilled down into a headline or a title, it might read like one of the following: The 5 ways your marketing is sabotaging your sales growth. The hidden costs driving up your operations administration. The one thing that most profitable companies know about hiring top talent. The surprising and common distraction that's killing your team's productivity. The lurking threat that's already stealing your customers. The early warning signs of an impending market disruption. The 3 insights that can double your profitability. 5 ways to cut costs without cutting people. When you can provide a new way to look at a current problem and put it in the context of a broader goal or struggle, you change the paradigm the buyer uses to make a final decision. It sets you apart and tees up your differentiation message. The buyer is no longer sitting through a sales pitch, but engaging in strategic thinking and problem solving. Prove what to say to help them believe you. If you've done a good job teaching the big idea, you will have engaged your prospect's skeptical mind. This is excellent because it causes them to be curious or argumentative about your big picture point of view. And when this happens, it means your prospects are paying close attention. Now, you must back up your claims. You must share data and stories that demonstrate what you've taught them. Many people in the B2B space are comfortable with proof and numbers, and many with analytical mindsets insist on quantifiable information. When you can support your insight with data, you will save people the time of having to research it on their own, and they will love you for it. If you've done the proper amount of thinking, you've likely pulled a number of reports, studies, or other sources to effectively communicate the big picture. Simply share the data points, your sources, and possibly even how your company came to realize this point of view. But to truly hit a home run, remember that stories win the day. Our brains are wired to tell and understand stories. This is actually how memory works. Research suggests that facts are 20 times more likely to be remembered if they're part of a story, and that people learn more effectively when listening to a well-constructed story. When you tell a story, you allow your audience to experience 3 different learning formats. 1, mental pictures. 2, your words and voice. And 3, emotional connections. Storytelling evokes empathy and takes the listener on a journey where pain and conflict are transformed into a desirable outcome. By using quantifiable data plus a key story or 2 that captures the emotion and reality of a situation, you build a messaging framework that is both believable and memorable. But let me remind you that the proof aspect supports your big idea. You have not yet earned the right to sell the advantage of your product or service. Stay in service to your audience. If you do, your audience will become curious about you on their own. Then, and only then, does your messaging become more interesting to them. Your listener naturally begins to wonder why no one else has shed light on this subject in this way. Sell, communicating your incomparable advantage. Now you have earned the right to sell. You've given your prospects value and progressed their understanding of their current situation. They are naturally going to want your expertise and will already suspect, correctly, that you know exactly how to solve the problem you just shed so much light on. So now it's time to outline what they need to solve the problem. I like the suggestion in Matthew Dixon and Brent Adamson's The Challenger Sale. Create a list of what they need to solve or take advantage of the big idea. As the authors explain, this is a point-by-point review of the specific capabilities they would need to make money, save time, or mitigate the risk that you've just convinced them they're facing. After years of building these types of messaging scripts and training people how to use them, I find this list acts as a perfect pause to keep you in an authentic servant leadership posture. It also makes it easy for you to outline your differentiation message in a way that still maintains focus on your buyer's needs. This list becomes the distillation of your incomparable advantage. We'll go into how to clearly articulate and build your incomparable advantage in the next chapter, but the messaging choreography and big idea should dovetail right into the reasons why you are the only provider capable of handling the needs at hand and delivering real business impact. Your incomparable advantage is not a better, faster, or cheaper value proposition, but an explanation of your unique organizational characteristics, knowledge, and differentiators that culminate to clarify how you uniquely maximize value to your customers. Your incomparable advantage, as the name suggests, makes you distinct from others in your market, and your messaging choreography should help you navigate the conversation to a place where there is no comparison. Having the discipline to save your value proposition until the end makes prospects more curious and attentive. Plus, you can adapt their reactions and feedback to customize your message to their specific concerns. Curiosity will have led the audience to your differentiators. As you consider your value proposition, it often helps to have tools to help you go deeper with regard to how your customers may perceive your incomparable advantage. An excellent resource for this is Bain & Company's 40 Elements of Value that B2B offerings provide to customers, organized according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you truly want to be incomparable, you cannot stop at words and phrases common to the business world today. Efficiency, risk mitigation, cost savings, productivity, and customer service excellence, just to name a few, have become void of meaning because we all repeat the same words again and again. Take the time to identify the more meaningful everyday impact of these value propositions. While in theory, your incomparable advantage may sound straightforward, I've found that clarifying your incomparable advantage can be incredibly difficult. So instead of diving deeper into explanation, let's take a look at how to work with your team to define this. Grab a whiteboard and your key team members and do the following exercise. Building your incomparable advantage. List how you are better than every other vendor. Make a list of every single way you win for your customers. After you list all of your amazingness, go back to each item and ask yourself whether or not your competition can say the same thing. If the answer is no, put a star by the item and answer the following questions. What is the result of your competition not being able to do what you can do? How does the end user suffer without this feature or benefit? If the answer is yes, then draw a line through it, because this indicates that the characteristic is table stakes, something you should be good at just to earn consideration. It's not a unique identifier, no matter how much pride you take in it. If the answer is yes, but you're truly better than your competition, then answer the following questions. 1. Specifically, what does the competition do compared to you? Where exactly are the differences in this common strength? 2. Do your prospects care about the preceding answers you listed? If not, answer why not. Either you will see missing areas where you can improve the big idea, or you will see that this benefit does not create value for your current market. 3. List 3 examples, details, or stories that demonstrate your superior delivery in this area. 4. How does this impact your customers' outcomes? Review your list and pull out the elements that your buyer persona would or should care about. These answers allow you to create 2 matching lists. The first is a list of the things your buyer persona should look for when choosing a provider. The second is that same list matched to the reasons you are the only one capable of providing this type of top-tier offering. A shortcut. Tell transformation stories. Recognizing that not every sales cycle includes a full presentation, I'd like to provide a shortcut on how to tell the full story in very short form. Remember, you have to be aware of what your buyers are really buying. It's not your widget, your service, or even your expertise. They are buying a solution to a problem that is standing in the way of their potential. So the best way for you to communicate your trustworthiness is to tell a story about a transformation you have played a part in. So what is a transformation story? It's a 2-minute story about a customer who faced a problem similar to that of your prospect and what the outcome was after that customer worked with you. Stories serve instead of sell because they give listeners the freedom to place themselves in the narrative and to intuit what you do much faster than if they tried to understand everything only through product descriptions and value propositions. A great transformation story speaks to the heart of the purchasing decision, but it does not answer any questions about what you do or how you do it. It merely illustrates what transformation you created. Let's take a look at the elements of a transformation story. 1. Describe the person you helped. List the person's title and industry and any other characteristics that will help the listener understand your customer as a real person, similar to him or herself. This might include the number or size of the person's team, his or her experience, credentials, personality, or even a tidbit about that person's work-life balance. Anything that helps to set the stage for the intensity of frustration that a client felt when you two first met. Here's what this might sound like. To give you an idea of what we really do, let me tell you a quick story about one of our clients. A few years ago, I was introduced to a vice president of sales and marketing for a mid-sized manufacturer. He had built an impressive reputation in the industry and surprised everyone when he left the large company he worked for to join a company that was virtually unknown in the industry. It was his job to create a consistent business development approach and message across the entire organization. 2. Describe the challenging situation the person faced that led him or her to you. Now, this company had no existing training, no consistent CRM. This company had no existing training, no consistent CRM usage, no website, no kidding, and nearly zero name recognition despite 40 years in business. They were invisible in the marketplace. The sales had plateaued in recent years, and several were now sliding backward. Number 3, describe the transformation that occurred after you worked together. Through our collaboration, our company helped them once again achieve double-digit growth year after year and have steadily built a market position based on authority and thought leadership. They are frequently featured in trade publications and have a strong and consistent market presence on and offline, as well as the plan and technology to maintain this trajectory. Your transformation story is an improvement on an elevator pitch. Everyone tries to get an elevator pitch to be as short as possible, less time than you would ride in an elevator with someone, as the name suggests. But does this really serve the listener? Maybe giving yourself permission to speak for 2 minutes instead of only 10 seconds can make all the difference. Understand where your prospects are now and where they want to be, and then tell them a story that mirrors their desired goals. During sales mapping, we discuss the importance of keeping the customer at the center of your business development approach. This is another example of remaining customer-centric in action and not backsliding into your love of your own product and its advantages. By explaining the personal transformation of someone in a similar situation, transformation stories once again answer the question, what's in it for me? Prospects can listen to your story and see their desired future state. I recommend capturing transformation stories in a short format, as shown in the chart that follows, and sharing them across your organization. Your messaging is where your servant leadership takes life. The words you use either orient to a customer-centric approach or don't. When this happens, you open a world of possibilities, innovations, and ideas for accelerating growth. The rearview mirror. Be intentional and proactive in building a messaging strategy. Using the messaging choreography framework will help you to align with how the buyers receive information and will create consistency in the delivery of your message. Messaging choreography has 4 chronological aspects to help you gain attention. 1, mirror, 2, teach, 3, prove, and 4, sell. Mirror how your prospects feel about their current situation and problem. Teach them the big idea to help them better understand their problem. Prove the big idea with data and/or stories. To sell, match your incomparable advantage to the criteria your buyers need to solve their problem. Marketing should build the messaging choreography and assist in rolling it out to the organization. Transformation stories help to communicate your messaging choreography in a shorter format.